I thought I'd talk a little bit about what it takes to join the 1% of the population that has run a marathon, because a lot of people every year say, hey, I'd like to do my first marathon, which nothing wrong with that. Very ambitious choice to join that 1%. Now, chances are, if you're looking to do a marathon, you've done a 5K before, and you've done a 10K before, and a 10K is twice what a 5K is, and you've done hopefully at least a few half marathons. A half marathon is kind of twice what a 10K is. Well, a marathon is twice what a half marathon is in distance. That's where the similarity ends. Because I will tell you, running a good marathon is more like 3 or 4 times what it's like to run a half marathon. It's just a very different animal. So I'm going to go through some of the things that I consider the minimums that you have to do to run a good marathon. Now I will tell you, these are broad statements. And with any of them that I make, somebody say, well, I know somebody who didn't do that and they had a good marathon. This is in general. It's just like most people will know somebody that smoked 2 packs a day and they live till they're 85 years old. Well, that doesn't mean I'm going to recommend that to everybody. There's exceptions to everything. But in general, this is what I think it takes. So first of all, I think you need to be able to pretty consistently run 40 to 50 miles per week. The marathon loves miles. It's about muscular endurance. It's about building your aerobic base. I think you need to run 40 to 50 miles per week as a minimum. And if you can do more miles, that's even better because marathons love miles. But it's not just doing 40 to 50 miles per week. Ideally, that is spread over 5 days or even 6, and you can do what's called a midweek long. A midweek long is not a long run in the middle of the week, but it's a longer run in the middle of the week, maybe something that's more like 90 to 100 minutes in the middle of the week. Why is that important? A lot of people are weekend warriors and then might get the 40 to 50 miles per week, but they cram a bunch of it into the weekend. What happens is you're just drained during the rest of the week. It's not really an effective way to train. So I'd like to see you get 40 to 50 miles per week, 5 days, even 6, with a midweek long in there. Next, you've got to be strong. Glutes, core, strength work. I put strength work at the bottom. So there's strength work, pumping iron. I think those things are very important. And in fact, if you say I don't have time, you run a little less because strength work is important. At an absolute minimum, you need to do work with your glutes and your core. If your core is not strong, your body's not going to hold up for the 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever you're running out there. So that strong core is going to help you run better. And glutes, I've never heard of somebody that is going to see their doctor, physical therapist, and they go, wow, your glutes are just too strong. They are always too weak. It is the bane of many runners, or they're not active. So doing work at a minimum to make sure you've got strong, active glutes and a good core is absolutely minimum, and ideally some strength work in general. Next, you got to have a foam roll, and you have to use that foam roll. You might be able to get away with not doing foam rolling in a half, although I recommend it for that as well. You're probably not getting away with it in the marathon. The foam roll, especially around the areas of the IT band, piriformis, really important to help keep you limber and keep your injuries at bay. And then finally, you got to be able to fuel your runs. Now, what I mean by fuel your runs is not grabbing a bunch of goo and slugging those down your run. That's not fueling your runs. I'm talking about your day-to-day nutrition. Now, am I saying you have to sit there and go to MyFitnessPal and log everything? That's not what I'm suggesting. Let me tell you, if you're doing 40 to 50 miles per week, unless you're used to that, you're burning a ton more calories. And in my experience, most people are saying, hey, I'm running a marathon. Maybe I'll lose a little bit of weight. It doesn't work that way. In fact, the average person gains weight when they marathon train. Why? Because they don't eat enough, and then one day they just clean out the house. You got to be able to eat enough to make sure that your runs are being fueled, or you will not have good, effective runs. So that's a little bit about what I think it takes to join that 1% that's run a marathon, and maybe that's you.